Uh,
Hello all, welcome back to the session. Maybe let's get started for today. It's 5 minutes past. Okay, let me open my BB edit. Yep. Okay, so let's get started for today. So in the previous session, so I hope you can see my screen, right? You can see my editor, right? Can someone confirm in the chat or something?
yes, we can see your editor.
Yeah, thank you. So last session we saw about the emulator concept, how the emulator is working and how to create it and why do we need to use an emulator. and in which place we need to use an emulator actually. So these things we saw about it, some pros, some cons, and what are the options and all those things actually in the Android Studio. So today we will focus more into like say the simulator part because we didn't see it yet. So we'll see about the simulator. So I'll just give you an overview on the Xcode and stuff. Okay. So we will be seeing those things actually for simulator. Okay. And what is the relationship and between the Xcode simulator and stuff. And also we'll see how does your Appium work. Okay, so that means you need to know about some command called ADB and XC run. Okay, and how does the APM connect to the device? As a real example, we'll be seeing it. And if time permits, we'll move towards the Java. If not, we'll move the Java to the tomorrow session. Yeah. Okay, so this is the agenda for today. So today we'll be mostly learning into the ADB commands, XC run, simulator part, what is simulator and where it can be used and etc. Okay, so this is how we are going to do it for today. Yeah. And to start it off actually, so for a simulator, uh, okay, so technically like say a simulator works only with your iOS. So it's not with your Android because for Android we have a separate item which we call it as a emulator. So simulator, whenever people say it's not for Android, don't be in an assumption. And emulator and simulator is not both the same. Both are two different aspects. Okay, because can anyone tell what does an emulator will do? So what is the specificality or why it is specifically used? Anyone?
I think simulator can only replicate the software components of the system.
Correct, exactly. How about an emulator?
It replicates both the hardware and software components.
Exactly. So that's what like last time we saw an example of your Bluetooth. Okay, so your Bluetooth can work only with your hardware component. Okay, so that's the reason we are using this particular stuff. Okay, sorry, there's a little noise over here. Yeah. Okay, so as it rightly said, like say simulator only cares about the software, it doesn't care about your hardware. So whatever you do it, yeah, it's only with respect to your software. So hardware components doesn't work with the simulator. You need to try it with the real device. Okay, so that's the core part about your simulator. And how does the simulator work? So sorry, like your Android emulator, your simulator will work with your Xcode. So you need to download your Xcode for that to work. So if you don't have your Xcode, you cannot have your simulator. So that means like say your Xcode and simulator should be one and the same, or it's both are the same. So you cannot have only simulator, you cannot have only a Xcode. So when you download your Xcode along with the package, your simulator also will be downloaded. And again, your simulator is dependent upon your iOS version or your Xcode version. So which type of Xcode you're using, so that type of uh, simulator versions will be available. So if you have a like say how to say it, in case like say if you're having like say an Xcode 15 version and you want an simulator working in a iOS 18 version, so it's technically not feasible. Okay, so that's why we saw the explanation of the compatibility checks. Okay, so your compatibility checks will be, that's where we saw it up. If you remember it, we saw a website for that. Xcode compatibility, and this is the support document. So based upon the Xcode only, your simulator versions will be available. So if you're in Xcode, okay, other versions. If you're in 15, so it supports only till 17.5. And if you're trying to for the 18 version, definitely it will not work. Okay, so there is a limitation over there. And and also like say whoever is using your Mac, right? So only they can use your simulator. But if you're not using Mac, I'll show it in cloud today, like how a simulator will be available. Okay, so that you can use it up. But if you're planning to use your cloud, right? So make sure you have multiple email IDs and passwords, okay? Because one email ID is valid for 30 days. So our session might go about like 1.5 months. So you can make sure like you have the right data available for you to work on that. Okay, if not, you need to pay around $39 per month to opt it. Okay, so $39 comes around like 3,500 or something odd. Yeah, that's how it is about. Okay, so now let's see how does this work. Just a second. Yeah. Okay, so let's see how does this work. So your Xcode, where you can download it. Can you see my launchpad? There is an app store, so I'm using a MacBook, so you can see there is an app store, and inside this app store you can search for something called an Xcode, so where you can download it out. So it's a just simple click and it will be downloaded. But for Xcode to work, right, so there is something to work. We need to hold a developer license. So this developer license as well is valid for only around like 30 to 60 days actually, depending upon what type of role we use it up. So most probably it's like a normal role. So you can have 30 days of this developer license, and then again you need to renew it and use it. And if you want to buy it also, you need to buy it up. So that's the reason, like say iOS is quite complicated, I would tell. Okay. So quite complicated in the sense it's a little costly affair. Okay, so you cannot push your code directly into a app store just like that. It is not possible. Okay, so that means you have a developer, you develop a code and you want to publish it worldwide. It cannot be done that easily. Okay, so that's the meaning about it. And it requires a lot of efforts from a iOS developer side to push the code. And even in a company, you can see not all the iOS developer will have this Apple developer access. Okay, because it's costly. Okay, and at the same time, they maintain like one mission or one person's developers to push the code. Okay, so not all developers are given the rights. Okay, so how to create that particular developer license? Simple as it is. Just go to Apple developer login. Okay, so you have this Apple developers link, and let me put this down a bit. And you can see there is something called an account available. Click on the account and it will ask for you to log in. So in case if you don't have a login, so you can use your create Apple account and create it. But in case if any of you are using your Apple devices, right? So that Apple device login also you can use it for your Apple developers login. So that also it will work. For me, that is how I'm using it. So that's why my Apple developer account has expired. Okay. So if I want to renew it, I need to renew this particular thing. Okay. So or like say I need to create a new Apple developers account and I need to add it, which technically I need to change in my real device and all those things. There's a little bit complication. So I don't do that. Okay. So that's why I use a simulator. And also like say if you see it, so this developer license is initially valid for 30 days and then you need to renew it. Cost, I'm not pretty much sure, but you can see it over here. So let me log into it. So I already have it, so I'm just logging in. But for you, you need to do a create your password. Okay, and also like many people, like whoever is holding an Apple device, like you might have entered the Apple's username password here. So technically you need to have your password. Some people like say they forget their password. So if you forget it, it's difficult to retrieve. Okay, so you can retrieve, but it's a little difficult. So you need to have your password. So I have already my password. Let me click on continue. And this is how it looks like. Okay, and you get your Xcode, everything, Swift software downloads, everything available. And if you see my profile, right? So you can see at one place you cannot able to push anything into your app store. But this one for first 30 days it's free. But again, when you want to push it to app store, it requires a lot of checks actually, both at the security level as well as at your what do you say, at the security level as well as at your code level. So this we call it technically as distribute when you want to push it to your app store. Okay, so here this is the in-app purchase. Actually you need to pay it and then you need to use it up. Okay, this is how it works. So you need to have some concrete license in order to push your developed items into your app store. Okay, this is for developers, not for testers. Okay, so if I just enroll it, yeah, you can see I cannot do it because I'm already a developer. Now I need to pay and use it. So that's the problem. Okay, this is how it usually throws it out as an error. Okay, so this Apple account only you'll be using it in a device. Why I'm specifically mentioning it again is like say whoever is trying to develop an application, okay, so they need to develop it in the Xcode or like say a tool over there, okay, Xcode with Flutter or Xcode with uh, or Swift, I mean to say Swift. So they need to develop it and they need to push it. So in order to push it, they need this license. If you don't have that license, definitely it will not work, but it is only for the developer. But for tester, your device, right? Let's assume like say an application which is not yet available in the App Store or Play Store. Okay, so how you can test that app inside your device? Any idea? Is there any different approaches have you worked on as a manual tester? So your application is not released. Then how do you access that particular application in your mobile device? That's the question.
Um, yeah, we get that developer give that APK file location, which is the organization shared location. From there, we get download into the device, the physical devices.
Okay, that's great. Any other method?
That's right, sir.
Sorry, can you come again?
That's right. That's right.
Yes, yes, exactly. Test flight. Exactly. Exactly. So these two are the methodologies. Okay, excellent. So these two are the methodologies in which you can transfer your app from your Mac to your any device. And that too, I cannot assure you it as an any device because each Apple device, okay, will have something called a UDID. Okay, each Apple device will have a specific UDID. So UDID will refer to uniform identifier. I forgot the abbreviation. Just a minute. Uniform unique device identifier, I guess, but let me confirm it. So yeah, correct. Unique device identifier. Okay, each Android device, sorry, the iOS device. So whether it's physical or simulator, each will have a unique UDID. It will never be repeated. Okay, but there is a pro and con. Okay, so let me tell that, and how to identify it in the most easiest way, I'll tell you. So for Mac users, as I told you, you need to download your Xcode from your app store. Okay, and then what you need to do it is like say start your Xcode, I would say. No, let's do something like this. Okay, so let me take my iOS device. Just a minute. Okay, where is it? Okay, just a minute, guys. I'm searching my iOS. Okay, it's not yet. No problem. Just a second. Let me take it. Or let me go to my simulator. So your simulator comes along with your Xcode. So a shortcut to search it inside your Mac is like X simulator, or you can search for simulator. Okay. And then let it open. Okay. And then you go for file, open a simulator. So 18.4. So let's have this iPhone 16. Okay. So all the device, whether it's a simulator or a real device in iOS, everything will have a unique identifier. So it will never be repeated or it cannot be repeated. It's something like in Android you refer as an IMEI code, right? So that means your SIM card will have certain IMEI code and that IMEI is unique for every device. So similar to that here also, these things are very unique. Okay, so now let it, yeah, yes, please.
Sharing that simulator screen.
Sorry.
I think you open the simulator and then selecting a device, right?
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah, yeah. We could not see those screens. You said
Okay,
like
okay.
for the simulator open from the command prompt, you are trying to open it, right?
No, not yet, not yet. Just a minute. Let me reshare it. Actually, even my simulator is not opening because it's in the screen sharing mode. So usually, I don't know, like this is popping up only after I updated to 18.4. I need to check this one, why it is happening like this. Because when my screen is sharing, our simulator is failing to open, but give me just 2-3 seconds. I'll try to open it without screen sharing. Just give me a minute, guys. I'm trying to open my simulator since it's the teams are connected. I totally forgot to open it before the teams. There is a new set of permission which is not allowing me. Just a minute, guys. Give me a minute. Hmm. Just a minute. I'm not sure why it is doing like this. Privacy and security. Okay, due to some reason it's not opening. Let me connect a real device and show you. But before that, let me connect the device itself to my machine. I think 18.4 is a very bad update, I guess, for my Mac machines. So who is having a Mac machine over here? Have you tried to connect your device or something like this? Oh, yeah. This is screen recording, right? Okay. Just a minute, guys. I'll share my screen. Just give me 1 minute. This will also not work. Okay, no problem. Let me share my screen. Let me tell you to from the command line. Okay, so that will be the best one. Okay, can you see my screen? The Apple developers program, the website, can you see it?
Yeah, yes, Arvind.
Yeah. So what I will do is like, I'll tell you a simple way. There is something like say there is a connection which will be established between your device and the Appium. Okay, just a minute. Sorry. Are you able to hear my voice now, right? So let me brief you about it. Before going to this UDID part, right? We need to see some concept which is in iOS called as a WebDriver agent. Okay, so this is in your iOS. So what does this one will do? It is like whenever our Appium deploys to a real device or simulator, WDA, that means your web space driver agent, okay, will be deployed to a to the real device or simulator. Okay, real device or your simulator. This WDA, what it does is like say, so WDA is a special app which communicates the iOS communicates with, oh, sorry, what is it? With iOS using Apple's XC test. Okay, and what happens here is like say your WDA will receive the commands from the Appium server, okay, and executes the action. Okay, so how graphically it works is like say, let me tell you. Okay, let me put it like this. So you have something called your Appium server. Okay, and what happens over here is like say you have a mobile device. Okay, so this is a real device. Can you see my screen, right? My free from. That means some pictures I'm putting it, the pictures in the sense some block diagrams. Okay, let me know if you can't see it. Real
It's not
device or
Yeah,
visible.
yeah, we are not seeing.
you're not seeing it. Okay, that's great. So in case if you're not seeing, please let me know. I'm not sure why it's still happening. How about now? Can you see it?
No, Arvind, we see only that notepad screen. Yeah,
Okay,
now only the meeting.
meeting link. Okay, good. Okay, how about now?
Yeah, now we see that.
Yeah. So these are the two blocks that I have given. So one is your APM server, one is your real device. Okay. And what happens over here is like, let's have another block. Okay. So which we can call it as your code. APM Java code. So what happens over here when you write your code, any code? So the interaction goes two ways actually, I would tell. Like say, let me put it over here. Okay, so interaction, first interaction, it goes about like this. Okay, and the server, what it will do, it is like here you see a lot of things that is happening. Okay, for an iOS, first it will identify the device. Okay, so using what? Using something called as your using something called yes, sir, it identifies the device. Okay, so using something called XC run or XC simulator, X simulator, I would say XSIM. Okay, for short form, I'm giving it. Okay, and then it sets the configurations. This is the first thing that it will happen. And then secondly, it will be setting the configurations. Just a minute. And then it will be setting up the my bad. It's too bad over here. Let me delete it. So first one, WebDriver agent creation. Okay. And second one, so it will check the device and parameters using a JSON. Okay, configuring is fine or not. Okay, so this happens inside your Appium server, so not outside your Appium server. Okay, so it will check for the device and parameters using a JSON, which is nothing but is going to be something called a name and value pair. Okay, and then what happens is, like, say, the commands from code is given to the device using JSON. Okay, so that means, like, say, what you can do it is, like, say, from your Appium server, so it moves to your real device. Okay, it moves to your real device, and after it communicates with the real device, whatever the signal that it transmits, whether it's an error code or whether it's due to the identification issue or anything, the real device sends back the item back to you. Okay, so that means I can even give this double arrow over here, so that you can see there is an internal two-way communication that will be happening. So this is how technically it works. Okay, so inside this Appium server only, your WebDriver creation, your device, which device to use, everything, it will take it from your Appium Java code as a JSON protocol. Okay, so usually we call it as a mobile wire protocol, mobile wire JSON protocol. So using that, it will be transmitting, and then the commands from the code is given to the device as a JSON. Okay, so this is how the interaction happens. Okay, any doubt here so far?
So it will automatically identify the device, Arvind.
Yes. Yeah, not automatically. So again, the device, everything, it will be mentioned here. It will be from the code, I would say.
Okay.
So we need to mention that inside the here, like, say, device name, not name. Actually, I would be more specific. UDID, your device UDID, and what command to execute. So everything will be from here. Okay.
Okay.
So everything from, oh, it's changing UDID. And your simulator will respond with, like, say, uh, just a minute, guys. Yeah, so your real device will provide an action on the device, or what it will do, it is like it will provide an action on the device, or any exception will be transmitted back to your Appium server. and from your server to your code. This is how basically it works. Okay, it's a simple diagram, but a much more effective one, I would say.
What is the role of WebDriver agent again?
So that's what it will be deployed on the real device. So let me put one more diagram. That's also a good question. So let me give it something like this. So your WebDriver agent will be this one. Agent, or you call it as a WDA. So that will be deployed on the real device. So that will be with the real device. So because your commands are put it into the WebDriver agent, and the WebDriver agent will interact with the real device to tell you like this is the command, please execute it. And how it transmits the command with the help of a JSON. All the commands are as a part of your JSON.
Oh, okay, thank you, Arvind. So, when I am just comparing to the Java, when we write the Java code, the Java driver agent will interact with the browser. Before that, whatever the code we are writing, that will be like JRE and JVM that will be converting, right? Like binary into binary, whatever the code we here. Do we see like that any between the Appium server and the code?
Yes, yes, we don't have a JVM exactly, but yeah, we have a JVM. Yes, correct. We have the Java part. So that builds the APM code, okay, and then it transmits to your APM server. Yes,
Oh, okay, okay. And then same like on the browser, how we are
yep,
performing the actions with our code, that will be done on the simulator side here.
simulator side, exactly.
Ah, okay, okay.
So now the same thing will be done for your Android as well. Same setup, everything, but we don't have a WebDriver agent, okay, in Android. Okay, sorry, we don't have an Android, but sorry, in Android we don't have a WebDriver agent, but instead of that, let me put it this way. We don't have a WebDriver agent, so this is going to be your WebDriver agent is completely going to be for your iOS. So your real device to this one, it's going to be for your iOS. Okay, purely for your iOS. Okay, and again, similar fashion, okay, will be done for your Android. Okay, why I am giving it as a two different arrow marks is like the code is going to be the same based on iOS or Android. It's going to be slightly different. Okay, since the configurations, everything is different, right? So that's going to be another item. So where is this arrow? Okay, another one would be like, let me draw the circle. Be the APM settings. So APM settings is going to be for your Android. Okay, so two different things, but your coding, everything is going to be same. Only the setup is going to be different, I would tell. And this is going to be for your Android. I think someone asked in the beginning of the session, right? So can we have one single framework for iOS and Android? Yes, it is possible. But where does it differ? The way in which we call it. Okay, so that's where the difference will be handled. Okay, so if it's going to be a WebDriver agent, so we have a separate configuration over here. Okay, so we can also give it something like, say, as an iOS configuration, iOS config file, and similarly, we can also have it something like, say, Android. For Android, I'll represent by capital AND. Okay, and this is for your iOS. So like this, it will be varying it out. Okay, so these two commands can be given over here. Okay, so it's not a big deal breaker, but some configurations we need to maintain for both the things, because each one is a different setup, different platform. So at least your Huawei and other things are quite same actually. Huawei and Android is almost the same actually, only like again over there a slight difference. We also consider that as an Android only specifically because it was derived from Android. But these two configuration we can keep it like this: iOS config and Android config, and anything transmits over here to the real device or a simulator. Whether it's a real device or a simulator, the WDA creates it and Appium settings done. And how does this WDA agent works is like, say, so for an Android settings, okay, for an Android settings over here, so it needs something called a ADB, a new thing, something called as a ADB over here. Oh, sorry. Called as your ADB. So what is ADB is something like, say, Android debug bridge. So through this way only it communicates to your Appium. And for iOS, we have something called your XE run. XE run or X simulator, XSim. Okay, so these are the two configurations. One for your iOS, I would say. Oh, sorry. And another one for your ADB, Android Debug Bridge. So without these two things, your Android or your iOS cannot communicate. Okay, so that's the main purpose of it. Okay, so any doubts here so far till now? Maybe let me reduce the size of it, but this is how the working prototype works. Okay, it's always a two-way communication. You send the code to the Appium server and the Appium server to the real device and real device back to the server and server back to the code to show you whether it is coming or not. This is how basically it works. And the simulator also works like that. Okay, and pros and cons of simulator. So basically it mimics the behavior of your software and it's for iOS testing only, and it's helped with the help of your Xcode. Okay, you need to have the Xcode, and then it is faster than emulator. That's really true. It is never slow because the hardware replication is not required over here, and it is very less accurate. Okay, because any hardware related stuff like say geolocation or like say what geolocation, Bluetooth, those things cannot be done inside a simulator. You need to have a real device to do it up. Okay, so it's used to test the application on software rather than a hardware. So that is the meaning about it. And the same thing, whatever we did it in a simulator, right? Opening a device or something like that. Like say you can, once it installs this is the simulator. So at the top in Mac, you can find like say file, open, and iOS, and then you can open the device whichever you want it. First time it might be very slow, okay, but gradually it becomes very faster. Okay, so for me, I think there is some problem with my machine, so that's the reason it's very damn slow. Okay, but usually it is very faster. Yeah, I think some memory issues are there. Yeah. Okay, so this is how basically it works. Okay, and yeah. So any doubts? Anything so far till now?
Yeah, thanks, Arvind. Could you please show me the screen, the framework part, kind how the flow you have drawn, right?
Ah, yeah, this is the one, right? Can you see now?
Ah,
Free flow.
yeah.
Yeah.
So from real device, it goes to the WebDriver agent, and then based on the Android APM settings, it will be take an action. Okay, gotcha. And so we can use the same code for Android and then iOS configuration.
Yes, exactly. So only the configurations is going to be different, and iOS configurations are done by XCRun and Xsimulator to help it interact, and Android will be the ADB, Android Debug Bridge.
Ah, okay, okay.
Okay, so these are the two configurators I would tell. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Mm.
I think there is some simulator issue. That's the problem. It's not opening. So if not, I can show you the UDID concept actually, because that's also very important. Okay. So any device you connect it, so it should have a UDID. So based on UDID only, you can connect the device actually. Let me try opening something new. Okay, because that 16 was a old one. Maybe it's got corrupted, I think. Let's try a new device and see it really quick. Okay, so this is how basically it works. So still we have 5 minutes. So what I would recommend is like say let's start Java as a fresh tomorrow. Okay, so meanwhile any doubts or clarification we can discuss now. So if this turns up any moment now, I can show you the UDID concept. If not, once we jump into the scripting part of Appium, I can show it to you. Yeah, how to identify it, because that's just a manual work. Okay, what I'm going to show it now, but through command also you can show it, but some installations needs to be done for that. Okay. So I think it's demanding me to close and open the Teams. I think maybe before the session I should have done it, but it's unfortunately not working yet. So any doubts, we can discuss it. So let me know for any doubts.
So where we need to go for the APM server inside the Java code, we are doing some script. We are going to start the server, APM server,
Yeah. Yeah.
something.
So APM server can be started in multiple ways, I would tell. Okay. So if you're doing it in a local machine, so you can go to the terminal or command prompt and then do it as like say, um, just you give the command APM and then it starts the APM server. But if you want to do it from the code also, the code is available. 2, 3 lines of codes are available where you can start it out. But if you shift towards the CI/CD, so your Jenkins will help you to start and stop it. So there are different approaches.
Sir, could you show me that the basic Eclipse folder where we wrote that script and APM dependency also?
Which one you mean?
Uh,
This one?
no, just I wanted to see that any previous batch Eclipse folder where they write that any script.
Okay. Just let me give me. Okay, so here. Yeah. So if you go to your pom.xml, this is how it looks like. So let me send it to you in the chat. What's it? Sorry, my machine is a little slow, so you can just copy and paste it in any notepad and you can see it. So this is the dependency. It will have some other multiple dependencies, but yeah, this is the exact one. Okay, I think this is what you're asking, right?
Actually, I wanted to see that some is a script like basic script I wanted to see.
Oh, basic script. Okay.
Mhm.
So if you want a sample one, let me show it.
BP will start from Cucumber framework. No?
We usually start with TestNG, but if you want Cucumber first, it's fine. Yeah, we can start it.
Okay.
So this is usually the first script that I give it up. For Android, this is the one. Just a small script just to start and stop it. And this is for your iOS. No, sorry, not this one. Where is the iOS? Yeah, here is it. Yeah, this is for your iOS. But this is very basic actually. So it's not the complete one, just for a starter. Like when you put all the dependencies and then you need to know like what is what, right? So that level of scripting is this one.
Yeah, but still, this thing I also don't know. So this thing is big for me.
Sorry, can you come again? Voice was breaking.
No, I'm saying just I'm basic
Ah,
for this thing is hard to me, not simple.
okay, fine. Yeah, it's easy only as and when you practice, right? It becomes very easy.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so let
Here
me
is the
check the
device ID,
chat.
no, sir, which you told that set UDID every time means when I
Yeah.
started for any simulator, still there is a UDID or
Yes.
the real device have just UDID.
Any device will have a UDID.
No,
Whether
no,
it's a
I'm
real
asking for
device.
simulator also.
Yeah. because that's also one, it's kind of a device, right? So it will have a UDID. So any device, it will have a UDID. Yeah.
So here for where we have the APM server, like that is
Here it's just a script actually. So your APM server will be started like this actually. You need to go to terminal. If you're on a Mac, you go to terminal. But if you're on a Windows machine, you go to command prompt and you need to install the APM first. And
okay.
then you need to start just APM. If you give it, it'll start to run. Like you can see it, it has started to run. So this is the server. So this is a manual way of starting. But if you want an automated way, it should look like this something. Where is it? Should be here. Just give me a minute. Yeah, start APM is here. So you have one piece of code. Like say, this is that piece of code where it will start automatically when your script runs. So you don't need to start locally. It automatically triggers it based on the settings, what we have given. Okay, so this is one way and there are multiple ways coding part. So that's one way and this is the second way. Okay. Quickly check the chat. Do you need to write different code for iOS, Flutter and native? Mm, yeah, for Flutter, the code is same. The locator is different. So if you have a Flutter application, the locators will be different. Okay, there are Flutter based locators like 4 locators are available. Only you can use that. But the scripting like click and entering the text box, that and all is same. Only the element identification, that means elements inside an app identification, is different for Flutter and different for React Native. Okay. So if there is no other doubts, I think like have great rest of the day and we can meet again tomorrow with the Java concepts and then we can proceed it out. Yeah. So before that, if my simulator is working fine, I can show it to you tomorrow. Yeah. The UDID, how it's available. Okay. So thank you all again for your time and let's meet again tomorrow. And yeah, have a great
So
rest of the day.
Thank you, sir.
timing will be the same.
Sorry, timing you mean?
If the timing will be the same, like last time we discussed, they want to change it, but
Yeah, I conveyed Isha team, so maybe you can touch base with them. Yeah, no problem. I've conveyed the same. So far, it's the timing has not changed, but I've conveyed the message to them as well. Yeah.
okay, so
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.